Hey everyone, we're here today to talk about some reasons for westward expansion in the United States of America during the 1840s, late 1830s and 1840s to be exact. So this was a unique time as we've kind of moved through the earlier phases of U.S. growth from the infancy as a nation and making our way through the failed Constitution attempt with the Articles and then the implementation of the new one, and then the beginnings of the 1800s where we just started to kind of get our feet underneath of us. And as you make your way to the 1830s and 40s, there's going to be a lot of interest in the land, including the Louisiana Territory and further beyond to the west coast of the continental United States. But the catch was, at that time, it wasn't all under the control of the United States. Yet there were a lot of things that were motivating people to move west at that time, and that's what you have on your web. Hopefully you've read the introduction already, and now we need to have you just fill in the missing pieces on your web with some of the reasons for westward expansion. So I'm going to start at the top and then work my way clockwise around the web. So the first open area that you need to fill in above the reasons for westward expansion center block is religious reasons. There were a couple things that motivated people religiously to move towards the west during that time period. The nation was historically at that point in time very, very influenced by Christianity, and particularly Protestantism as more of the baseline. You were starting to get a wave of Catholics coming from Ireland, but at that point, the majority of Americans were influenced by Protestantism. And part of Christianity's tenet is that you're supposed to spread the message. So there was a lot of very devout Christians that believed that they had a calling by God to go out to the West and try to convert Native Americans to Christianity. So some of them were motivated by their faith and the sense of calling to spread their Christian belief systems to a group of people who did not adhere to the same belief system. So that was motivating for a lot of people to move west. Another group of people were the Mormons. The Mormons were a newer faith that had been born out of New York, and then they moved a little further west. But everywhere they went, they were finding themselves being persecuted for their beliefs by mainstream Christianity. And so they decided collectively as a group of people to move to the west. And the area that they settled in was the Great Salt Lake area of Utah. And if you know anything about Utah to this day, it's very heavily influenced by Mormonism and people from the Mormon faith. And so they ended up there just to be able to celebrate their religious beliefs freely. Be careful that you don't mix up the word persecution with prosecution. I see a lot of people do that. If you're prosecuted, you're being arrested and charged with something and having to go to court and face a jury potentially to see if you're found guilty of a crime. Persecution is when you're being picked on, sometimes even physically harmed or killed for your belief systems, whatever they may be. It's largely, in history because of religious beliefs, but there's other things that people can be persecuted over as well, political beliefs, and the list goes on and on. Another thing that brought people to the West was just a sense of adventurous spirit. For a lot of people, there was a draw to the uniqueness of it, the newness. There was a lot of opportunities that were opened up that were possibly easier to take advantage of than it was back in the East Coast. And so many people just thought, let's just give it a try, especially younger people. I mean, that just kind of goes hand in hand when you're a little bit younger to just try these things and get people out there. And one of the greater motivators for movement in any time period, any migration, is for economic opportunity, to try to improve your lives, to better your current situation, make money, move up the economic ladder, and just do better than what you did previously or what your parents' generations have done as well. So there were opportunities for merchants to trade with natives from that region, and also for people to trade with the native Mexicans of that region too. Remember that the areas of California that we think of in southwestern United States of America today were all owned by Mexico at that point in history. So there was motivation for trade purposes. There was also a lot of very cheap and yet very fertile farmland that allowed people struggling on the East Coast to move out there and restart themselves in their career of farming. And then finally, in the 1840s, you see the striking of gold in several spots out in California, hitting its absolute peak in 1849, hence the nickname of the 49ers, those that went out there to strike it rich, mining gold. So that allure for getting rich quick, which some people did, but a lot of people did not. It was a tough job to be successful with. But these are all motivators for people moving towards the West. Make sure you have them completed on your chart and then move on to the next section of this activity. Thank you.